Four Democrat lawmakers in Virginia joined Republicans to reject Governor Ralph Northam's so-called assault weapons ban. The bill failed in committee on a 10-5 vote, which means the idea that the government is going to ban your guns and forbid you from purchasing an AR-15 is dead on arrival, thanks to four brave Democrat lawmakers and the tens of thousands of Virginia citizens who rallied and protested, stood up, and spoke out in defense of their right to keep and bear arms. Never underestimate the power of the people. Your voice does make a difference. You saw that today. Now, this particular gun ban is shelved in Virginia until next year, but the vote also instructs the State Crime Commission to study the issue before next year's legislative session. But let's not wait for next year. I can tell you right now what the study will find. You will find that the vast majority of firearm-related murders in the United States are committed with handguns. Less than 3% of firearm-related homicides are committed with rifles in the U.S., and even fewer with semi-automatic rifles like the AR-15. In Virginia specifically, according to the FBI, there were 297 firearms-related murders in 2018, but rifles were only used in 8 of those murders. If you study the issue, which the Department of Justice did, you will find we already tried a so-called assault weapons ban nationwide in 1994, and it did not work. If you study statewide assault weapon confiscation, make sure you look at Connecticut because it didn't work there. People refused to turn in their firearms. Make sure you look at Australia as well because after their gun ban, after the confiscation, there are now more guns than before the ban in Australia. Make sure you study the Constitution too because the Second Amendment forbids you from infringing on the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And the Supreme Court limits the power of the government to restrict that right if the firearm is legally owned and in the common use. And it doesn't take a study to know that one of the most popular rifles in our nation is the AR-15. I think when 10 million of them are in circulation, yeah, that counts as common use. But please, be my guest, go ahead and study. Learn that the AR-15 is not made for the military. It was specifically made for a civilian population. Learn from many women, myself included, who find the AR-15 easier to handle and fire than something like a shotgun. If you study this issue, you'll find registration doesn't work either. Canada tried it, but the cost was too burdensome. Australia tried it and used it to confiscate legally owned firearms. And most importantly, the people of your state do not want it, and the Second Amendment protects their right to keep and bear arms. Keep all that in mind when you conduct this study.